Alright, sorry about that cutting off. I didn't realize I was at the end of my slideshow. So over here he charges in, and I actually like the look of this battle. He's going to do a lot of wounds on me, especially with that assassin. But, well, first off, the first turn it's going to be a challenge situation, and so he's going to do a lot of wounds, but it's only going to take one model. But for the most part, I've got a lot of strength 4 attacks coming back. I really like the way that looks for me right now. So during the magic phase, if you remember, his level 4 caster took a wound on turn 1, took a wound on turn 2, miscast on turn 3, and his head went pop. So I appreciated that happening. He shoots at these Pegasus Knights, kills one of them, and he charging in the building, and you can see my men-at-arms are getting seriously whittled down in that building. So Brett turn 3. He doesn't break me though, so he has to pop back out 1 more inch. If you look at that red token on the right, that's marking my unit as having -1 strength, -1 toughness, and that was the spell that his wizard cast. I think the one that blew his head off. So that's going to make it a little bit more difficult to wound that chariot. Let's see, my Pegasus Knights in the upper left turn around, reform, and so they can charge the building next turn. I'm really not using this left side well at all. What I need to do is move the archers up to block the Corsairs from being able to charge the spearmen, and I need to move the spearmen so they can get a flank charge on his spear elves. That spearman unit's just sitting there doing nothing. So really not happy with how I'm playing that. I'm not anxious to take my knights into his Corsairs, because I really think he's going to chop me up if I do that. And I think he's playing his Corsairs wrong. I think he needs to shove them down my throat, because like I said, I think he wins that battle. In the upper right, charge the bolt thrower. Now, I have the -1 strength and toughness from his magic phase, but in my magic phase, I put a spell on my character that gives him +3 attacks, +3 strength. So he's 6 strength, 6 attacks. So very comfortable that I'm going to kill the chariot this turn. And these guys from the Lore of Life get +2 toughness. So it doesn't really affect the assassin much. I think he's got a weapon that makes his strength 1 higher than my toughness regardless. But it's going to save me from wounds from the spear elves. Shooting whittles down his Corsairs a little bit. Beat the bolt thrower, and I just do a reform to face the line of battle over here. And after combat, you can see I'm down some men-at-arms, he's down some spear elves, and he's killing more models than I'm killing, but points-wise, I'm doing more damage on almost every turn, especially when my guys are buffed. So over here, my character does kill the chariot, and we do a reform to face these guys. So on my next turn, you know, if he doesn't break that unit in combat, I'm going to have a choice that if I want to, I can flank charge him with these guys. So Dark Elf turn 4 in the upper right, his Hydra charges my Pegasus Knights, and I flee. His Executioners charge the building again, otherwise we're locked in. Over here, he's not charging, although he probably would have been out of charge range anyway, but he's moving up to grab some cover from that fence. So, you know, whatever. So all these looks at the board. So he shoots at my archers, kills some, put a real whooping on these guys. I think he killed 9 of them. So the men-at-arms in the building are really taking a beating. I'm okay with how the other archers are holding up. So Brett turn 4. This would have been a smart time, and I did think about it. I could have brought my men-at-arms out of the building, and so they would have been, you know, on his turn, Dark Elf 5, his Executioners could have entered the building, and then they could have exited on turn 6, but basically they wouldn't be able to charge anything. So I could have saved points for that whole unit. But I thought about it, I didn't want to. It's been a fun game, and I want to see how long they can hold out. I'm going to use the regrowth spell to put a couple guys back in there and just see if they can do it. Over here, this was my my cunning plan that failed in a bad way. I brought my character out, inviting him to charge me, because I really think that he would probably hold there. But the plan was I reformed the Knights of the Realm, and they were going to move up into their flank. And so if he charged me and I held, I'd get a flank attack, and if not, my guys could go after his, my Knights of the Realm could go after his crossbows. But then my Knights of the Realm failed their swift reform, so now if he charges me and wins, he's going to get a flank charge of my Knights of the Realm, which is just silly. I'm really not playing these Knights well at all over here. Charge the bolt thrower in the building. Really glad cavalry can charge buildings now, even though you can't occupy them. Like I said, I stayed in the building over here. And here I purposely did not charge because I've got that breath weapon attack. So I laid the flame template down, touched almost every unit in that, every model in that unit, and then I had all those archers shooting at that unit. And when all was said and done, I think I killed 2. It was ridiculously bad rolling. I couldn't wound anybody. During Magic, I raised the champion back up, which saves several wounds because his whoever attacks him is going to do overkill, and those wounds won't take out other models. Yeah, there it is. There's the picture after the amazingly high kills I got. And over here, this went really bad for me. I'm losing guys faster than I thought I would. So now I think the advantage is in his favor. And the problem is I didn't get a buff spell on him. I have to buff these guys if I want them to hang with elite troops. If I get the buff on them, they can hang with them, and they're so cheap, it works wonderfully. When I don't, they die in droves. Anyway, his bolt thrower died. He decided not to charge me. I don't know why at all. So he's just sitting there hugging the fence. He charges my Pegasus Knights. I just flee again. I like how his Hydra's been kept away from the battle the whole game. I like it a lot, actually. These guys finally kill the last of my men-at-arms. So that was kind of a fun moment. I really thought my men-at-arms could have and should have killed more of his guys. I knew he would kill a lot of mine, but he took relatively few kills, wounds, compared to what he did to me. And then the other unit wiped out the last of those men-at-arms. So kind of a bummer seeing the 2 men-at-arms units go down, but it was nice seeing that play out, to see how how they held up and what I need to do to make them effective in the future. So Brett turn 5. I turned to face the Hydra with my bowman to see if I can get a wound on him, because if I can, I might throw a stone his way. Charge his Corsairs, and he fled and ran them down. So they're gone, which is, yeah. Over here, these spearmen, I haven't been playing well at all. I've really, in essence, kept them out of the whole game by not moving them. And that's just a big waste of points. I really could have used them in the combat. I'm worried about him charging through that gap and hitting my trebuchet, so I put a spell on the trebuchet so that at the end of every magic phase, a unit in base contact takes d6 strength 4 wounds, strength 4 hits. And so I thought that would dissuade him from charging with that Spear Elf Assassin unit. Yeah, there's the side of the board. Dark Elf turn 6. Oh, this was so scary. He charges my Pegasus Knights with his Hydra. I flee, hit the building, and pass all the way through it. Do my dangerous terrain test. It doesn't hurt anybody. My peasants pass their panic test. My damsel fails hers even with the reroll. And then my BSB fails his even with the reroll. Amazingly bad luck there. But then I got lucky on the distance, and both of them stayed on the board. But now I'm scared. I've got a lot of points sitting there ready to run off the board. Otherwise, he keeps his guys in the building because it's his last turn. There's no reason to move him out. If I hit the building with a stone thrower, I'm only going to kill d6, so it's really not going to do anything. But he charges the trebuchet regardless, and then during his magic phase, he just dispels my remains in play, so he doesn't have to take those hits, and he easily wipes out the trebuchet. And take panic test. Well, my Prophetess did not take a panic test, and I think I played that correctly. I know Knights don't take panic tests due to things happening to peasants. I don't know how that affects my spellcasters. So if you know the answer to that, let me know. All the peasants pass their test. We go to the last turn of the game. There's nothing to do. Luckily, I rally everything at the bottom. Here on the left, I charge his crossbowmen and kill them, which was nice. And over here, there was nothing to do because I totally misplayed these guys. So another look at the board. Final look at the board. So in the end, it was a pretty compelling victory for the Bretonnians. Whatever. It was a fun game. We weren't real serious. His list wasn't optimized. I don't think he would say. He's played fewer games than I have with 8, and so this is still very much a learning opportunity. Some thoughts that come to mind are, one, trebuchets are broken. I almost feel guilty with how powerful they are. Men-at-arms hold up very nicely against elite troops, but they have to be supported. I have to have somebody do a flank charge or make sure I get those buffs off or whatever. But really happy with the potential of these horde units, especially when supported by lore of beasts and lore of life and stuff like that. So there you go. I'd say the peasant horde defended their village well enough. The dark elves skulked back to their ships, and yeah, hope you enjoyed it.